Junior volleyball player Gabby Nieto was back home in Guadalajara, Mexico, and said the excitement was palpable.
The energy was so good, really, everybody was waiting for the World Cup to start, counting the days.
Senior volleyball player Maya Prestes is from Porto Alegre, one of the cities that hosted World Cup matches.
Yeah, we had 4 games from the World Cup in my city. It was amazing. That was a great experience. I'm a big fan of soccer and I was so excited. See, my city is a small city in Brazil with so many people, so many different cultures. It was a good experience.
Everybody is still working and still doing what they do, so watch the game.
Well, Argentina is a very huge soccer country, so as we follow the World Cup very close each year. Mostly this year, the Day we made it to the finals. The last time we made it to the semifinals was 24 years in 1990 in the Italy World Cup. So even though the Argentina people wasn't expecting too much from the national team, it was such a party.
It was crazy. It was, since the first game, the 3-1, everybody was like, okay, this is possible, and everybody just started being more and more positive about it.
Here in America, people had watch parties and crowded into bars for matches all throughout the month of June. But how did those in other countries watch?
I couldn't go to the games, so my option was just went downtown to the bars, enjoy with friends and family. That was my choice to watch the game. Every time Brazil or another team made a goal, everyone's like, yeah! Yeah, really excited.
I get really nervous, especially because it's national team. So I just invite all my friends and we had a huge party for the game, before and after. And since we had excellent results, after the game, it's a tradition to go to certain place. So since Costa Rica is very small, there's this place where people go and celebrate, and it was just way too crazy. Everybody just turned up and everybody went to celebrate.
Men's soccer head coach Mauricio Ruiz had the unique experience where he was not only able to return to his home country, but also attend a match while he was there.
So I got to watch one match live. As you can imagine, tickets weren't as easy to come by, even if you're from Brazil. But I got to be there for two and a half weeks. So I got to watch quite a bit of games at different locations, at parties or at bars or at the Fan Fest, but physically only to one game.
There were some special moments during the month-long tournament, maybe none bigger than the 6-save masterpiece by Mexican goalkeeper Guillermo Ochoa against World Cup favorites Brazil.
Everybody was oh, Memo Ochoa is the best and everything, and doing so much for him. It was so amazing, the job that he did. Everybody did thanks to him, we got that result in that game.
At the other end of the spectrum, host country Brazil lost in one of the most lopsided matches in World Cup history to eventual champions Germany in the semifinals.
That was pretty sad. Was hurtful. We kind of knew. I was expecting not win the World Cup. I'm being honest right now, but it was hurtful with Neymar. He's the best player. He was out, and 7-1. That was pretty bad. For World Cup, that was bad.
Kind of had a feeling that something was going to break, and he just hoped that he didn't break before the final. He hoped that maybe if they reached the final, the emotion of the country would carry them over. But they weren't playing well, the entire World Cup. I think they had glimpses of moments here and there. A 7-0 defeat. That's one of those things that will probably never happen in World Cup history. Even less against the host team, against Brazil. So it was one of those things where the worlds kind of collided and everything worked perfectly for Germany, deservingly so, and everything that could have gone wrong for Brazil went.
There were plenty of moments to celebrate for all involved, especially for underdog Costa Rica and tournament runner-up Argentina.
My favorite was against Greece, the PK, the last one. Oh my God, I cried.
When we defeated the Netherlands, it was such a huge party because, as I said before, Argentina, we weren't expecting so much for the Argentinian national team, even though we have some of the best soccer players in the world.
The World Cup lived up to its moniker as the diversity of the crowds did not go unnoticed by those in Brazil.
I saw so many Australians from China, Japan, Russia, everyone was there. And I was happy because I could speak English down there. So many friends, they're like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say, I cannot communicate. And I was just, yeah, I got this.
Just walking in the streets of Brazil, and I was in Sao Paulo and Rio. It was a congregation of people from different countries and young kids, older women, men. I mean, it was pretty much like the State of Union, the United Nations, all coming together into one for soccer. Which for me, as a soccer professional, it was like a perfect storm almost.
The World Cup affected even those who did not attend, especially the soccer teams on campus. The JU women's team was still abuzz when they returned to school for preseason workouts.
A lot of stories about where were you when the U.S. played in the round of 16? Did you go to somewhere for the opening game? We went here, we went there, we got together. So even though we weren't together, like you mentioned, because it was during the summer, we still heard a lot of stories about where people got to go and where they got to watch games and how much they enjoyed seeing just all the excitement that was going on with the games on TV.
The men's soccer team was instructed to use the World Cup as a chance to learn.
As a coach, you try to educate yourself as much as possible. And you saw the writing on the wall that Brazil was playing without much of an organization, but with a lot of skills. So for me as a coach, it's a great sticking point to the players now that they have to follow instruction, and we have to be tactically sound and organized. That's not good enough to just be good enough.
The best thing that Costa Rica had during this World Cup was definitely the teamwork. So by you just seeing the way everybody plays together and work for each other, it's just amazing. So that's just definitely something we can catch on.
What we did is ask questions throughout the World Cup. I asked my players if they could write a review on a team that they liked, on a player that they liked, what did they like about it, what they didn't like about it. And going back and reading those paragraphs that the players wrote, pretty well educated ideas actually. So it allowed them to think a little bit about the World Cup, think about the way different teams were playing. I think that's probably the nicest thing that I saw, that nobody was closed-minded. You have 32 different countries playing 32 different styles.
Coaches, players, and fans have noticed that the crowds at Southern Oak Stadium still have World Cup fever.
In the games that I came here, have a good crowd. Many people go to the games.
I think it's pretty good. I don't know if it's because the coach is from Brazil, but I see a lot of energy down there when I went to the game. They're playing really hard and they're celebrating a lot.
There's a better educated, younger crowd, which are the kids that are coming to games.
Definitely. I think we've had a lot of great crowds. Typically Friday night's the best night for crowds for college soccer, and we've had a handful of Friday night games already, and every Friday night game the stands have been packed. And it's been a great home crowd, great support, and you can kind of just feel the energy. And I tell our team that all the time, feed off the energy that our fans bring us. They're here to support us, they're cheering for you, they're urging you on. They want to see good soccer, they want to see great goals, they want to see us win. So let's give them what they want and come out with that kind of energy and passion that you see on the national level when it's the world. But let's bring that same passion and energy to our team. We even heard some of the more educated soccer fans at our last home game, they're yelling some phrases you don't hear unless you're watching games on TV, probably watching an English game or hearing an English commentator talk about a certain coach there. And some of the same phrases they're yelling at us and yelling at the players and the coaches and having a good time supporting us in a game that we won on a Friday night here.
I think it's definitely better, maybe because of the World Cup.
I mean, since we're in the U.S. and the U.S. had a pretty decent World Cup, I think they're excited for it. And we have games with huge crowds, not huge, but big crowds. But yeah, I mean, the World Cup was just this summer, and people are just like, oh, soccer, soccer's good, soccer's... So they just come out and watch. So yeah, definitely there's been bigger crowds and there's more interest in the sport.
When they redid the stadium here, Southern Oak Stadium now, the fans we're almost on top of the field here. If you're on the front row, you can see the line right almost below your feet there, and that's close to the field. You can't get much closer to the field than our stands are. So the fans, the closer they are, the more engaged they are, the more a part of the game they feel like. And I think that's a great benefit for us because now fans are engaged. Fans want to be a part of it. We even have the seating behind the goals. A lot of the guys like to come there. They like to yell. They like to have a good time. Like to support our team, sometimes yell at the other team, be a typical home fan, and they bring a great atmosphere to it. And that's great to be this close to the field because you can kind of feel the energy from the game, you can feel the excitement. when you're a lot further away, you don't have that. So I definitely think as close as we are to the field, it brings some energy to it.